Hey guys, I'm Jay Randall, and welcome back to my channel where I discuss wisdom for the modern man. Thanks for tuning in to another live stream. This one is going to be an interesting topic. It's a topic I'm sure many men are aware of, and a lot of women are aware of as well. And it's very prevalent. It's something that is growing. The topic is, why aren't men approaching women anymore? Now, there has been an interesting development over the course of, I would say, like 2 years, where I'm sure a lot of men were very aware who got on TikTok, got on social media, and they essentially made it very clear to men that they are sick of men approaching them. There was videos of women saying, stop approaching us at the gas station. Stop approaching us at the gym. We just want to work out. Stop approaching us when we're out with our girlfriends. There was even videos of women saying that they were sick of men approaching them, even when they were out at like social environments like bars and clubs. Like environments that are supposed to be for approaching women, you know? But they were still telling men, leave us alone. We just want to hang out with our girlfriends. You're toxic. You're annoying. You're creepy. You're weird. We feel harassed. We feel bothered. Leave us alone. Now, here's the thing. Women have this idea that men, like, just about how we come across, or if we come across as weird or creepy, or if we don't care if we're bothering you. We're just single track minded, only focused on what we want, which isn't the case at all. Most men don't want to make a woman feel uncomfortable. Most men are just trying to shoot their shot to try to make something happen and try to get into a relationship. However, what happened was women were not expecting. It's very clear they weren't expecting it, as we're going to get into the videos and different clips demonstrating this, but they were not expecting for men to hear them and actually do as they asked. From my perspective, I believe that women of course, we all know they love attention, but I think what they were hoping for is that men were making these videos saying that they didn't want men to approach in hopes that men would attempt to try even harder to get at them. Like the chase, the way women like to get men to chase by playing hard to get. This was like the ultimate form of playing hard to get. But it's not just this. It's not just that turned men off from wanting to date women. There's a slew of things, like so many. It's not just the fact that women told them to stop. That's a huge, major one. It was also the fact that when men would attempt to approach women to try to get a relationship, and then these men would approach with the utmost respect, and they'd be professional and just try to get a girl's number. Many women, due to their love for attention, would take this opportunity to open up their phone, turn on TikTok, turn on their camera, and secretly record that man and make him look, foolish, or try to embarrass him in these moments. So they'll take out their phone and they'll just start, asking him questions and just, trying to make him come off as weird or creepy or annoying. And so these men, and then after doing so, these women would take the content and post it to TikTok, post it to YouTube. So this man not only has to live with the embarrassment of, the failed approach. Now, this approach that he did is now blasted all over the internet and is getting millions of views. So he has to keep reliving that embarrassment when he did nothing wrong but simply approach a woman and try to ask for her number. Give her a compliment, try to ask for her number. And this became a trend that women were just hopping on and trying to take any opportunity to embarrass a man. And like I said, women think men are stupid. They, for some reason, don't think we learn from mistakes or learn from things that happen to other men. So a large portion of men saw this trend and they said, you know what? getting a girlfriend, getting into a relationship is not worth embarrassing myself. As men, we looked at that as like a complete red flag. We're not risking our image, our reputation just to approach some girl. There's too much on the line. It used to be just the fear of rejection. And okay, it happened. It's over. She said no. You move on. No. Now I have to relive that rejection in the most embarrassing way on the internet. So that's another huge reason. This whole thing took place for like a year and a half. And then things started to change as men began to pull back in mass. Women started to take notice. Women really started to take notice. And I tried to go on TikTok and find videos for examples of when women were telling men, stop approaching us, we're sick of you approaching us, you're creepy, you're weird, and all the women in the comment section in agreement. Those videos got so many views. It was difficult to find those videos. You know why? Because the narrative has completely changed. It has gone from leave us alone, stop talking to us, you're creepy, you're weird, to the exact opposite. Women have done a 180. Now women are completely just like lost, bewildered, confused. Why aren't men approaching? Where do we find men? What happened to all the men? What happened to the men that used to... Where are they at? They're not asking for my number anymore. I see them look at me, but they don't say anything. What's going on? And they're getting to a very desperate place. A very desperate place. So much so that women are now taking on the position of pursuing men. I'll probably make another video about this, but there is a whole TikTok thread genre on TikTok with women making videos telling other women where to find men. You need to go find men at Home Depot. You need to find men at Lowe's, at the department, at the car section, at the auto parts section, at Walmart. They are on the prowl now because it has gotten so barren out there when it comes to men approaching that women have to now take the initiative to even put themselves in a position to even see men, to even encounter men. Right? So like the whole dating game has flipped on its head and women were not prepared for this. So what we're going to do today is we're going to watch a compilation video of women coming to the harsh realization that the dating game has changed, that men have indeed heard their complaints. We do listen to you, and they've stopped approaching. Now, as this video goes on, I'm going to get into other reasons as to why men stopped approaching, because it's not just because women told them to, and it's not just because of the shaming. There's other larger social issues that led to men no longer feeling the need to approach women anymore. So we are going to get into that in just a second. All right, guys. So just hang on. All right. Let's get right into it.
Guys, do you know these women are still out here making videos about the fact that men are not approaching them anymore in public? And even hearing that, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, yes, this is something men have been telling women for the last couple of years. But I think a lot of these women don't think these men are serious, or they think these men are playing some type of game.
You guys, so I'm at the gym. You know what? Go up to her. Go up to the girl that you think is cute, because most likely she likes you too, and she's waiting for you to go up to her. So do it.
I just need to know from a men's perspective, are you waiting on girls to talk to you first? Like, are you waiting on a girl to ask you on a date first? Because that's crazy to me. Like, when you're out in public and you're making eyes with a girl and you're, like, making it known that you're attracted to her, but you're not going to say something, how are you not going to say something? Where are the huevos? Where are the huevos these days? I feel like there's so many, like, times that guys want to say something to girls and they don't. Like, is there a guy watching this that can give us some insight? Like, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it? Are you scared?
I think fear would be actually a quite reasonable reaction to seeing other men get publicly shamed on the internet. I don't know why that would be an unreasonable thing, feeling to have. You know, you see other men getting ridiculed. You know, a guy who did the most normal approach, super respectful, gave her a nice compliment, and a woman's just like, ew, gross, leave me alone. It's like just nasty with it. That's another reason why men stopped approaching, because women are just nasty when they reject you. There's a nice, polite way to say, no, sorry, I'm not interested, right? But if a guy is respectful, he respects your space and just gives you a nice compliment and asks for your number, there's no reason to be like, ew, gross, or just like be disrespectful to him, or like, it's insane. But why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he be afraid? We care about our reputations.
Are you waiting for her to say something first? I like my men to be assertive and dominant. If you want to say something to me, say something to me. I'll give you the opportunity. I'll put my phone down. I'll drop the handkerchief. But I'm not going to do...
Dates and our relationships is down 50%.
I asked a bunch of girls, when was the last time a man approached you at a bar and started talking to you?
Guys just don't approach anymore.
Can somebody explain to me why I don't get approached in public? Like, do I look mean or something? I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the black girls do look actually really mean. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying they are mean, but man, they just have that face where it looks like if you say anything to me, I'm gonna pop off. They just have that don't talk to me face. Like, black girls in particular need to learn how to smile. Need to learn, and not even smile. I'm not even gonna say smile, because you don't have to walk around with like a ridiculous grin or just a smile all the time. Just look like you're not gonna punch somebody in the face if they say hello to you.
18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person. And let me tell you, that was literally the most disheartening statistic as someone who's in that age group and who just deleted all her dating apps because she wants to meet someone in real life.
I have a question for the men. Do you guys still want to get married?
No.
Hi, I'm a girl in this
I'll answer that. No, we do not. There's not a lot of benefits there. No, we do not. I don't even know what the benefits are anymore. There's no benefits. There's just liability and hoping for the best. Hoping that your decision does not blow up in your face, which 9 times out of 10 it does. So, no, we do not. But let me backtrack a little bit so we can get this video.
A question for the men. Do you guys still want to get married?
Hi, I'm a girl in this generation. I don't like to party. I hate clubbing. I never cheat on my boyfriend. I don't have a spicy side. And I love
imagination, because girls like that in this generation do not exist.
All these men deserve like a first
That was
class
funny.
ticket to hell. Yes, they need to burn, baby, burn.
Everyone acts like they want to date me until they find out it's not peaceful. I am chaotic.
Yo, I don't see the point
Okay.
of approaching women or bagging women. There's no point unless you know. The only way you get her is if you already know she's into you.
Facts.
Why?
Because they choose. There's absolutely no point of, what do you mean how?
But how do you know you're not chosen if you don't go up to her?
You don't have to go up to, when a woman wants what she wants, she shows you that she wants it.
We went on date twice.
And see, that's the mindset. And I agree with him and disagree with him at the same time. See, I initially started this thing out doing like cold approach. So you can go up to a woman who like has no clue who you are and absolutely get her interested and get her to like you and spark something up from there. That is a thing. However, in modern dating, it is in man's best interest to let the woman pursue him. Just because how much the dating game has changed, women now respect men that they have to pursue. Now, they hate it because they want that traditional dynamic, but they don't respond well to it anymore. They give the best treatment to the men they have to chase. So verbally, they will complain about wanting to get the treatment of the past where men were chivalrous and they approached them and, pursued them and courted them. But men who attempt to do that get, they get put in the sucker position. They get used, they get finessed. And while that man is chasing her, trying to do everything traditionally, she's off chasing some other guy, completely enamored by some other guy that she has to chase for his validation and, attention. So it doesn't make sense anymore for men to pursue women that way. Now, I have a buddy that goes out, I mentioned him already, like twice a week. to bars and clubs, and he still goes out and does cold approach, and he still gets results. He gets a lot of results, actually. So it does work. Men come to me, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying be passive. Like, you know, I still had dating apps and I still would approach women in person, but I would let them chase me. Even if I did approach them and make them, you know, let them know that I was interested, I would make them do the pursuing after the fact. Like, I wouldn't sit there and just like try to court them in a very traditional fashion. It just doesn't work anymore. They don't respond well to it.
We hook up more than twice. You're my boyfriend.
Men don't really approach women that much anymore for a lot of different reasons, I think. But personally, I want to be approached. I would love to meet someone in real life versus online. And as long as it's a respectful approach, I'm always going to be nice. Even if I'm not interested, I'm never going to be rude to the guy. But I think as women, we have to give a signal that we are interested before most men will feel like it's okay to like actually approach you. Personally, I'm not going to approach a man. That's not me, but I will make it clear that I'm interested. I will pretty much give him an open invitation to approach me through eye contact, smiling at him, physically like getting closer to him in whatever vicinity that we're in. And if he doesn't take that invitation, then I would just assume he's taken or he doesn't have the confidence to come up to me, which just means
he's not interested. It's that women have made the dating scene so like, it's like you're walking on eggshells. A man is always like analyzing the situation from the standpoint of how could this backfire on me? How can this be negatively framed? How can this be used to put me in a position where I'm labeled as weird or creepy or inappropriate? So instead of just like thinking in his head, okay, there's a pretty girl, I want to go talk to her, he has to be running all these like scenarios in his head of how this situation could potentially backfire and make him look bad. And the thing is, women have no problem destroying a man's reputation, saying he was weird, he was creepy, he was harassing her. And those have like great implications on that man. So he is just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to avoid embarrassment. I'm going to avoid, you know, any kind of labels or misunderstandings, and I'm just not going to do this. The safest way for men to shoot their shot now is in the DMs, is on dating apps, because one, you know, if you're interested, we're going to match. So I already know you're interested, so I never have to like wonder or if this approach is going to work. And it's just safer, you know. You can't label me a creep. If you find me a creepy, just don't swipe on me. And it's just a safer dynamic. But this is the reality that women created for themselves. They took the Me Too thing way too far, and they made approaching them like they made approaching them so daunting. It was already daunting enough. You didn't think men had it tough enough when it came to approaching a pretty girl and putting themselves out there? Women are scared to put themselves out there and approach men. It's not just the fact that they think that they're above that and that it's a man's role to do it. They themselves are afraid to go out there and shoot their shot. So you have the men who are taking on that burden, and then you don't even show any kind of appreciation or respect for that. The very thing you're afraid to do, they're doing it so you don't have to. It's like, bro, it was already scary enough to walk up to a woman and shoot the shot. You don't know how she's going to respond. You don't know if she's going to give you a harsh rejection or not. That's tough enough. A guy has to power through that first barrier of just fear of rejection. Now it's surpassed fear of rejection. Now it's fear of public shame. Now it's fear of ending up on the internet. Now it's fear of just, depending on the environment that you do the approach in, of word getting around that you're creepy or that you're harassing her. And then there's all this misinterpretation of like the intentions. Yeah, it's just not worth it. Women have made approaching them far too daunting of an experience. Too many risks involved. The same way there's too many risks involved in taking you guys serious and giving you guys relationships and giving you guys commitment and giving you guys marriage. You have created the entire experience of from the beginning point of getting to you with the approach, from the to the experience of taking you serious and wifing you up. You have taken the entire experience of dating you, of being with you, incredibly tips. Zero incentives, nothing but downsides, nothing but risks. The entire experience of getting with a woman has just become risk. And men, we have too much to lose, so we're just going to avoid taking those risks a lot of times. Now, I still encourage men to go out there and shoot their shot, because that's the only way that you're really going to get chicks, unless you're like crushing it on dating apps, which most men are not. So, the only other way is to go out there and talk to women. But I don't think you should just be approaching every woman. And yeah, definitely wait till she gives you some kind of sign or indication that she's interested, because there's just too much on the line now.
Guys do not approach you at the bar, not because you're not pretty, but it's because of this. I've been going to the bars every weekend with my friends, maybe for the past couple months, and I love it. I love socializing, and I'm single. And my friend and I were talking at the bar the other weekend, and we were talking about how we've never been approached by a single guy before. Like, maybe ever, which is just insane to think about. Like, I can name a couple occurrences where they have, but it was like people from Europe, and they're like a different breed of people, okay? So I feel like the culture in America is way different. Guys do not want to approach you, not because of how pretty you are or how you look, but it's really because they're scared of you.
Here's the thing. Women overseas, they're far more pleasant. I've seen plenty of Passport Bros videos of them approaching women, chatting up women the same way they would attempt to do it in the West. And it's night and day, the responses. Night and day. The women are far more receptive. When you approach them, they actually smile, which is crazy. They smile, their faces light up, they're super willing to talk, even if they're not interested, even if they already have a partner. They're super sweet. And so that is going to make a man feel like, this isn't a dangerous thing to do. Approaching women nowadays feels dangerous, bro. It feels like a time bomb. And so it's like, yeah, you guys aren't pleasant. You guys are nasty. You guys are, bitchy a lot of the times and just downright disrespectful. You've disincentivized men in every way, shape, and form from approaching you. And then you turn it around on them and say that they're not man enough, or they're scared, or they're, they don't have the balls. Protect ourselves, to protect our self-image, and honestly to protect our self-respect, because no man wants to constantly get like rejected in the utmost disrespectful fashion, which a lot of women think is acceptable.
And then us women over here who are single are thinking like, we look amazing, we did our makeup, we chose the perfect outfit. Why aren't all these guys coming up to us? Even if we're not into them, why don't they just come up just to like make us feel good about ourselves?
Yeah. Before she continues, I want to point something out, because this has been something that's been really eye-opening. Women, for the longest time, have been telling men that they dress up for themselves, that they put on makeup for themselves, that they wear their cute outfits for themselves, and it's not for men. We don't do it for you guys. We do it for us. Why do you guys always think that we dress up like this for you guys? We do it for us. We do it for the other girls. We do it to feel pretty. Okay. Well, ever since this whole pullback of men and them not approaching anymore, the internet has been exploding, particularly TikTok, with women talking about how they go out and men don't approach them anymore. And one of the major things that they point out is how good they look. I put on my makeup, I dress all cute, I go to this area, I do this, they talk about how the clothes they're wearing, how they do their makeup, how they do their hair, how they do their nails, basically how they doll themselves up and they don't get male attention. Well, wait a minute. This entire time you've been telling us that you do all that for you. But see, us men, we knew better. We knew it was for our attention. And now that they aren't getting it, they're outing themselves by saying exactly that. I get myself all dolled up, no matter how good I look, and, I'm dressed to the nines, and guys don't even look at me anymore. They don't even glance. They don't say anything. They don't approach. Like, what is going on? The internet, TikTok is flooded with videos like that, literally proving men's point that when you go out to the bars and clubs, you're not there to be with your girlfriends and just avoid male attention. When you go out dressed promiscuously or dressed, in a sexy way, you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you know you're going to get male attention. And now that you're not, you're outing yourself. Now that you're not, you've unintentionally outed yourself by saying, hey, look at what I'm wearing and guys don't approach me. What's going on? It's not for you. You do it for us. We already knew that. I just thought that was interesting to point out.
Oh, I went out last night with like my little friends, and we was at this place called District Bar and Grill. The point is, I have a question, because I am like a very friendly girl, but I want to know, when y'all see a guy out like at a bar or a club that you think is cute, or like, you know what I'm saying, you think he gave you a little or whatever, what do you do? Me, I just like blink a lot. I hope they notice me. But like, do you say something? Do you wait for them to say something to you?
That's not going to work. That's not going to work anymore. That used to work. Then that. You're going to have to do a lot better than that, because men just aren't incentivized to do that. Like, bro, a little batting of the eye and a little wink. It's like, bro, you're going to have to actually put in some effort, actually start a conversation with the guy. I'm not saying you have to like carry the whole thing, but you have to make your intentions far more known, because anything can be misinterpreted nowadays, and a guy can potentially read the situation wrong, and the consequences of that could be dire, right? Women say all the time, oh, he thought I was interested in him. I was just being friendly. So we might just think you're being friendly. You've said it so many times that we're not flirting with you. We don't find you attractive. We're just being nice. Okay, so now we're going to need a little bit more from you for us to like determine if you're actually, into us or not. Oh, so I have somebody in the chat. No, this is his question. Is this live or is it pre-recorded? This is live. This is live. I do lives now, so I don't know if you're a subscriber, if you're just coming across the channel for the first time, but this is indeed live. I've been going live for the last couple of days now, and this is going to be a trend moving forward. I do pre-recorded videos, and I'm also trying to do lives pretty much daily, or at least 4 to 5 times a week. So yeah, I'm trying to stick with that routine. So welcome to the channel. Not sure if you're a subscriber or if you're new, but either way, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for joining the live stream.
Do you just like hope they say something, they don't say nothing? Then it's because I don't know. I'm a pretty girl, and I be looking regular degular on this internet, but baby, when I go outside, I do not look like this.
I'm not saying she's not pretty. She's not. It's not for me, but I'm not saying she's not pretty. But she's an average looking chick. Nothing wrong with that. She's not ugly. But if you think that just putting on some makeup and a tight dress is enough to get men to like step outside their comfort zone, and not only their comfort zone, but their safety zone. Because like I said, a lot's on the line. A lot's on the line when men approach nowadays. It shouldn't be that way. It used to be very simple, but now a man has to worry about his image, if he's being recorded, if this is going to blow up in his face, is she going to publicly embarrass him? That used to be just a thing men had in their head, which really didn't happen that often. The fear of, oh my God, she's going to embarrass me in public. Now it's actually a real reality. It's not just a fear that men, have in their head that doesn't really happen a lot. It actually does. It actually does. We see it all the time on the internet. Women just being nasty about it for no reason. And the guy approached with the utmost respect. It happens all the time.
And I just want to know, what do you do if men don't speak?
Okay, so dating guru. Well, it's your first time seeing the channel. Well, welcome to the channel, man. Yeah, I do videos like these. I do videos where I break down just dating ideas, dating topics, basically trying to give men wisdom on how to navigate the dating scene, tips and tools. A lot of channels, they just complain about the problem and they don't really give advice. Some of them just point out what's happening in the dating scene. It's like, hey guys, here's what's happening with women. Here's what's happening with men. And then others, they just complain and this kind of this very doom and gloom, very bleak perspective. I don't want to do that because although I can acknowledge the dating scene is very, treacherous at the moment, I still want to give men tips and tools how to actually navigate it. Otherwise, what's the point? It's just like a hopeless, bleak, depressing topic. The only reason to even speak on it is if you're trying to find a way out. So that's what I try to do. But I also need to bring certain things to men's attention. And I also do comment on, the social changes and between men and women as well. But this particular topic is pointing out the fact that men aren't dating. Well, not the fact that men aren't dating, the fact that men aren't approaching anymore. And just pointing out the hilarious reality of women, honestly, their own thing like backfiring on them, because they were the ones who told men stop approaching and they were not anticipating this. And it only took about a year and a half for this whole dating scene to flip on its head, and now they're literally making countless videos about men not approaching anymore. Where do we find men? Where are they hiding at? Where are the good men at? Are they at Home Depot? Are they at Walmart? Are they at Lowe's? I'm dressed up. I'm dressed to the nines in my tight dress, my high heels, my makeup done. They still don't approach. What do we do? What do we do, ladies? And it's like just seeing everything flip on its head is so interesting.
Because I know it's not because I'm ugly, because they definitely look. They be. But they do not say nothing. And I be trying to tell people this and this, how people do not believe me, but they be getting hit on left and right when I see them. Nobody ever say nothing to me. They never say nothing to me. And I'm like, I don't feel no way about it because I got snicks. But I just be like,
Okay, so from Dating Guru. I see your perspective. You're referring to this particular topic, or do you mean women in general? This particular topic is... I don't think it's pointless because it's something that a lot of men are experiencing at the moment. And I think a lot of men are... Well, I know a lot of men are very afraid of approaching women at the moment. And some of them actually still want to. So there's different groups of men in this situation. There's the men who are actually afraid to do it. There's the men who don't see a point in doing it because they don't even really see a point in dating. So like, what's the point in doing it? And there's the men who want to do it, but they don't know how. So there's different groups. So you got to teach men based on what camp they're in. Some men really want to do it, but they're afraid to approach, the approach anxiety, that whole thing. Other men are just like, I don't want to do it. There's no point to it. So depending on what group you fall into, there's a different approach. I still think it's very necessary for men to approach. Despite how horrible it is, it's still necessary because most men suck at dating apps. And that's the primary way people are dating nowadays is dating apps. But most men are getting horrible results on dating apps. So the best thing to do for men right now is to truly learn cold approach. As horrible as the dating game seems, cold approach is the number one way to do it because most men just don't have the physical and visual aesthetics in order to pull off dating apps. So most men, I talk to guys all the time, and they don't even get matches. They get no matches. It's a depressing experience for them to go on a dating app because it's just either no matches or really ugly chicks that they just tears down a man's self-esteem. But if you get good at approaching women, you can get a lot of results because I've done it. A lot of my buddies still go out like 2-3 times a week to bars and clubs, and they get results. They get results. So it can be done. But this right here is more of a, I say, a cultural shift. A cultural shift where women are now, they are now in the position where they have to take on more of the role of the man as the pursuer. And I'm just right now in this particular stream, not so much teaching men, because that's a whole different thing, teaching men how to approach women. And I'm going to do videos on that, but this is more acknowledging the cultural shift where women are going to have to step into the role of the man a little bit and approach, not necessarily approach, but take more initiative, make it more obvious. They've shamed men out of doing what they've always done, which is take initiative. So now that they have to reap, the consequences of their actions. And a lot of men can agree with that. So that's basically what I'm pointing out in this particular video here. Let me see here. Dating Guru says, well, I think it's better to teach men how to handle bad rejection than to talk about these women have never truly fallen in love. Then, yes, that is true. That is true. When it comes to rejection, that is more daunting now than it was when I started. Because I remember when I started dating and I hit the scene, because man, when I first started, doing cold approach, I was bad. I was probably worse than most guys, like terrible approach anxiety, bad eye contact. But I knew how bad I was because I started in the game super late. And I had to acknowledge that I had like terrible, game, no game at all. So I had to throw myself in the deep end to really get myself up to speed and catch up to where everybody else was in terms of knowing how to interact with women. So what I did was I threw myself into like the nightlife, bars and clubs, and I like forced myself to like cold approach until I got good. And even that point in time, like 5 years ago, it was still daunting to approach women, but I wasn't necessarily afraid. Like, you had it in your mind that you could get a bad rejection from a woman, and it did happen from time to time, but majority of the time, it was not nearly as bad as I anticipated in my head. And there was not the fear of getting recorded on TikTok. It just wasn't the same. If I had to approach now, and because the way things could be framed and switched around to look a certain way when it isn't, yeah, it's different. So teaching men to approach now to handle rejection, that it's something every man's just going to have to do through, repetition. Like, repetition. You're going to have to detach your feelings from it, detach your feelings from the experience. That's really the only way to do it. Just go about the whole approach as if you're just trying to learn a skill set, as if you're not even trying to get the girl. You're just trying to get your reps in, just trying to get experience. Experience is, that's the only thing you're worried about. Not getting the girl, not really, you can't care too much. But that's difficult because a lot of guys attach their ego to the rejection. And the only way for that to no longer be the case is for them to just experience it over and over. Do it. For me, the thing that got me to start not fearing rejection anymore is because I feared, I guess I'll put it this way. When I used to go out, there would be nights where I would be so afraid to approach that I would go the whole night without saying a single thing to a girl. And that happened multiple nights. And that's happened to multiple guys. I've even heard other dating, what would you call them? Pickup artists who teach cold approach specifically. They've even said this. And there's nights where you just can't approach. You don't approach a single girl, don't talk to a single person, and you go home feeling super defeated, just like an absolute loser. And it gets to a point where that experience becomes far more painful than any rejection a girl could ever say. And for me and many other men who I've heard, that was like the spark that was like, okay, this doesn't matter anymore, because I'd rather get rejected a million times than go home and experience that feeling again. And that was like what lit the fire under me. And then through approaching, you learn that it's really not that scary, that, okay, she said no, or she said I'm not interested. Like, hey, I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. It didn't destroy my world. My world didn't come crumbling down around me. But it's that initial thing. It's very, very scary. It's like jumping out of an airplane. Like when I went skydiving, the the plane ride, like the idea of the plane ride flying up there, that was scary. I had to get past that barrier. And then I had to, get past. Here's the thing. That whole experience of, the anticipation and how high you're going and looking out the window and seeing that the plane is still climbing and then getting to the ledge and the plane door opening and all that. That's like the scariest part, man. But once you actually jump out the plane, it's like the most thrilling experience ever. And you realize, like, what was I so afraid of? Like, I look back on that experience and I was like, man, that was so enjoyable. Like, I would skydive again. But it's just getting to that point of the jump, when you finally jump, that's the scary part, man. Being at the ledge and just willing yourself to like lean forward and push out the plane, that's scary. And I think that's what kind of cold approach is for men, or just approaching a woman. Like, you don't know that after you do the approach, it's actually going to be a great experience afterwards, or that, it's not going to be as scary as you thought it was, at least. You don't know that. The only thing is daunting. And so a lot of times it does take one-on-one or just initial willpower. There has to be something greater than the fear to push them over the edge. Or there has to be a coach to like kind of guide them through step-by-step desensitization to get them to finally make that leap and realize that, hey, man, approaching girls can actually be pretty fun. I found it to be pretty fun, environment of the club. But the interacting with women, I found that enjoyable. And you develop a skill set. So, yeah, I do think it's very important. I do think it's very important for men to learn how to get over that fear of rejection. It's definitely a thing men go through, for sure. But I'm glad you're, it's good to see you in the comment section, giving a lot of feedback. Yeah, I definitely agree. Bigger fears definitely make smaller fears feel pointless. And honestly, now that I've done the cold approach, putting myself out there like that, overcoming that whole thing has made me feel so much more capable, to enter social situations. Like, I used to have this like shyness about me, or nervousness. I wasn't as outspoken, or I didn't express my emotions as much. But getting into cold approach and just that whole thing like completely changed me. Like, and I became the person I always wanted to be, because I always wanted to be that person in high school, but I was too afraid to ever step out of that bubble. But I always knew that the person inside me wanted to be the guy who could just talk to anybody, crack jokes, and not be afraid to say what I wanted to say. Every time I would speak, I'd always be thinking about, what are they thinking of? Like, how are they interpreting what I'm saying? Like, how are they experiencing me? Am I being weird? Am I, always thinking about how they're viewing me. And I always just wanted to get out of my head. I was just living in my head. And I know a lot of guys can relate to that. And man, Cold Approach definitely freed me, man. I feel like I'm living in the world now. I felt like I was just living in my head, just super anxious, filtering everything through how's everybody viewing me? How do I look? Are they looking at me? How are they thinking about me? It's just like I hated that. It was annoying. It just felt trapped. And now I feel free. Like I don't care anymore. I could have never started a YouTube channel prior to Cold Approach. I did not have the confidence for it, but I don't care anymore. Like I feel freed. And even it's not even just the skills you learn when it comes to communicating with women as to why I advocate for Cold Approach and just talk in your life that come as a byproduct of that. You learn so much about yourself. You learn that certain things don't matter as much as you thought they did, right? A lot of times you think that you think people care more about you than they actually do. And I don't mean like they don't think you're important. You think that the little things you do are more important than they actually are. You think people are more focused on. Nobody even cared. I raised my voice. I said this thing. Nobody cared. Nobody's looking at me like I'm weird. Like most men just live in their head. And I know that for a fact. They just live in their head. They're super anxious, always worried about how people view them. This thing will free you. It will definitely free you. So I 100% agree. Cold Approach and just getting over approach anxiety is like the huge thing. But I also think that women have to take responsibility for the dating scene that they created, right? If you want men to step back into their role to you without their without the fear of, a video of them ending up on TikTok and them being shamed, the fear of a nasty rejection, unnecessarily nasty. Like I can understand if a guy is like, being obnoxious and not knowing when to take no for an answer. Because I've definitely seen that at the club. I've definitely seen that, men just being just persistent to the point where the woman has to like get nasty so he gets the picture. I've definitely seen that. But for the most part, I would say men are respectful about it. But women have gone to the point. The thing is, they didn't appreciate the fact that men approached. They didn't. So they didn't care if they were nasty or not. They didn't care if they shamed a man or not, because you know what? Men are going to keep approaching me no matter what. No matter how poorly I treat them, they're going to keep approaching. And this was their mentality. So they didn't care about that. Voice their concerns. Now they're like, oh, crap. The dating scene is flipped on its head. And I think women need to be more overt now. They need to make their intentions clearer than they used to. They need to, not just bat their eyelashes and be in his vicinity, because that isn't an indication of anything. You have to actually do more, because they honestly, quite frankly, ruin the scene. C. Gordon says, the ladies have too much attitude, drama, debt. Don't approach when it's cold. Don't approach when it's hot either. I hear that. I hear that. I definitely can understand. They definitely have an attitude problem. Now, here's the thing. There's a Dating Guru asked a question. He said, do you want to give your viewers the best tips for handling bad rejection? Okay. So that's a good question. So I have to think about it. I have to think about it from the average guy's perspective, because for me, what I did was I detached my emotions from it. I'll tell you what I did, and then I'll give you some other tips. What I did, because I needed a way to mentally and emotionally detach myself from the act of approaching. So what I did was, I literally viewed it as an experiment. Every approach, I literally viewed myself as a scientist, and how I did it was, okay, I have this line, I have this follow-up line that I'm going to use, and I have these questions that I'm going to ask. And I would always, I would watch like pickup artist videos, and like a scientist. Okay, I'm going to say this thing, and I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to see what she gives back to me. And it's very difficult to detach like that, or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions on whether it's difficult or not. But I just used it as a scientific approach. Okay, say this, do this, what response do I get? And I was just like collecting data. I took my feelings out of it. Like, I kind of mentally tricked myself into like, I'm not approaching her to get her. I'm approaching her to see what happens in this scenario. And that's why it kind of became fun for me, because I was like, okay, let me try this line. Let me see what happens. So it became like this playful thing of like, do this. What's going to happen if I say that? What's going to happen if I push it a little further and I say this more risky line? What responses do I get then? And then I would do it with multiple girls to see if the reaction or the response was consistent. I'm like, okay, so that's how that works. What if I follow it up with this? Okay, what if I lean in for a hug? What if I go in for like a touch here or a spin here? What if I give this kind of eye contact? What if I give her some shit here? Or it was just like testing like a scientist, because I feel like the number one thing a man needs, like a girl who just says no, sorry. You'll get a girl who just turns away and gives you kind of a look and turns away, like trying to ignore you. There's different kinds of rejections. You'll get the girl who says, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend. You'll get the rejection where the best friend comes and pulls the girl away. A guy's ego can handle that. If you can handle the big blowout, you can handle everything. But you got to be mentally prepared for that, because it could ruin your whole night. And if you attach your self-esteem to that one interaction, it can really mess up your whole vibe moving forward with the night. So when that big blowout happens, like you approach and the girl says like, ew, gross, or ugh, or gives you a face like, detach it. Just completely detach. You were a scientist engaging in an experiment. Okay, I got that approach there. Interesting. I wonder if it was this particular thing that led to that, or maybe it was this type of person that led to that response, or maybe you could just throw that response out altogether. And here's the thing why I say repetition is necessary, because of those nasty blowouts as you think you're going to get. Unless you're like drunk and belligerent and you're just sloppy, and then you might get more of those. But if you're a sober guy and you're just doing regular approaches, hey, how was your night? Blah, blah, you're not nearly going to get as many approaches like that. There's like some nasty, like bitchy girls like who are just disrespectful people, and their personality is going to lead to you getting those interactions. But it's most of the time not going to be you as the cause as to why you got that, if you're just a sober guy doing a respectful approach. So you don't need to fear that as much as guys think. You just got to be prepared for when it does happen to not let it destroy you. And this is why repetition is important, because you're going to get more positives than negatives. So the positives are going to outweigh the negatives. So when they do happen, it's not going to be like, oh man, that ruined my whole night, because that was just her. I spoke to like 5-10 other chicks and they were nice. Even if they rejected me, it wasn't nasty, or I got good responses. But if you don't do a lot of approaches, the negative ones weigh heavier. So if you only did 2 and one of them happened to unfortunately be the bad blowout, that bad blowout is going to weigh heavier than the other approach that wasn't as bad. A lot of approaches. The only way to really master this is to just do it a lot, to where you just begin to not care anymore, and to where you begin to have more positives than negatives. So that would be my best advice for men in terms of approaching women and getting over the rejection. You need to do it multiple times, and then just mentally prepare yourself for if that bad one happens, and just, okay, set that aside, or just view it as an experiment, and then just keep going. Just keep going on. And then another tip is don't take a lot of time between that big blowout and moving to the next approach, because then it stays in your mind and you keep reliving it. If you just like, even if you felt a little bit like thrown off by that nasty approach and you don't feel 100%, 100%, what's the word I'm looking for? Even if you don't feel like you're 100% ready for the next approach, like your game is on point, you're mentally focused, still get right into it, because if you let that approach linger for too long in your head, it's going to affect you more than if you just went into the next approach, even if you weren't fully, on your top of your game. So that would be another tip, because, just try to stay out of your head as much as possible. Stay in the moment. So just go from the next to the next to the next to the next, because the more downtime you have in between the sets, the more time you have to reflect on them, and the more time you have to wonder how they were thinking about you, and how, wonder if she thought I was weird, and now you're in your head. So if you're just taking action, you don't have enough time to think. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't reflect, but do the reflecting after. When the night's over and you're sitting in your car, then analyze. So that would be my advice. Okay. Okay, so Dating Guru says, well, I have the answer. Instead of male ego, be a masochistic narcissist. Well, that is definitely... that's not going to work. It's not going to work. It is not going to work, I'm afraid. But, I mean, when this comes to being an asshole, it's not... I would say boiling down be what it means to be an asshole. Guys say a lot, you got to be the asshole. You got to be the F-boy. You got to not care. This is true to a degree. But the thing is, it's not really being an asshole, like just being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk. It really boils down to being, I guess I would say, being bold and being willing to disagree with the girl. Like, a lot of guys are more, when they are talking to the girl, they're just like they're trying to appease her at every turn. They're trying to find ways where that they're similar at every turn. Oh yeah, me too. Oh, you do that? Oh yeah, me too. Oh, I like that too. Or they're like, the girl says something. Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's true. Being an a-hole more boils down to, like, disagree with her and give her some shit. Don't always agree with her. Don't always try to be on the same page with her. Like, tell her she's wrong. Tell her, no, that's crazy. I disagree. That's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like, make fun of her a little bit. That is more the vibe, but it's more from a playful standpoint. It just appears like an ass, like you're the asshole, because most men are far too nice. Like, on the spectrum of nice and then asshole, men are like way over here, and they think they're gonna nice their way to the finish line, where they see other guys who are just like, they'll make fun of her, they'll crack jokes, they'll disagree. So you don't have to be like nasty. Just, don't agree with her all the time. Give her pushback on her points. Challenge her, Just this is another thing that I did, which was really good, which was really helpful. There was a dating coach that I was watching, and he would recommend that on individual nights that you go out and practice particular skills. And he recommended that on one of your nights where you go out, you just practice like being non-agreeable. Because this is a problem most guys had, and I struggle with this as well. Way, way too agreeable. Always agreeing with the girl, always saying, yeah, me too, yeah, that's true. Like, no. Like, disagree with her. just disagree with her. She says something like, even if you agree, just be like, nah, I don't think so. Like, that's kind of weird. But like, do it in a playful way, you know, and then like ask questions or give your opinions. You know, don't be annoying with it, but just like find points in the conversation. Don't disagree with everything, but find points in the conversation just to be non-agreeable. This might seem small, but it is huge, because one of the reasons why women find conversations with guys boring, and you'll get to the end of the conversation, it's like it will fizzle out. She'll be like, okay, well, bye, I'm gonna go find my friends, is because it was just like a very boring conversation with no spikes, and you just were there trying to gain rapport with her the whole time and agree with her and make her feel like you guys are on the same page. It's like, no, sometimes y'all need to be on a different page, and give her a little bit of shit about what she said, or make fun of her, or, you know, in a playful way. And that's necessary. It's necessary. And you know what? This this live stream was not supposed to be about cold approach and giving game, but you know, I'm totally fine with it taking that turn. I've totally fine with it taking that turn. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. You said, but rather have a tendency to accept that bad rejection as the best way, the wrong person for me, and move on. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying. Man, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If we're talking about the nightclub, I'm talking specifically nightclubs right now, and nightclubs are different than approaching a girl like at Walmart, or you see out, you know, on the daily, you know, doing your chores and running errands and stuff. The nightclub scene is far more cutthroat, so it's different. So the tips and advice I was giving was more so from the cold approach in night game and scene. When it comes to during the day, it's actually a lot less if you're approaching during the day. So, but I would say that approaching at nightclubs and bars are the best way to just like gain certain skills that make you equipped for any environment. Because if you can approach at a bar and a nightclub and get results, you can have to tweak your approach a little bit. And I wouldn't even say that you shouldn't even be approaching girls at bars and nightclubs for the purpose of even dating them seriously, because they're not even the kind of women you want to take seriously. Trust me, as a guy who's did that for a prolonged period of time, I don't care if she like even comes off as still a sweet girl after you take her out on a date after meeting her at the club. They still like the traits and characteristics that she was the kind of girl to go to the club to shake ass or get drunk or wear that promiscuous thing that you saw that made you want to approach her in the first place. That is not a girl you want to take seriously anyway. So going in with that mindset makes you detach even more from the outcome, and you can just view it as just like getting reps in, just like an experiment, just as a means of learning a skill set. I'm not here to take any of these girls seriously. I don't care if I'm not trying to make you my girlfriend. I'm just trying to use this as a means of learning a skill set that when I'm outside of the club and I do see that girl who's at Walmart, who's dressed, not where her ass cheeks out, I can go approach her and I can use the confidence that I've gained, the communication skills that I've gained, and I can apply it to that. So I would say detaching your intentions from even taking any of the girls seriously at the nightclubs is also a good way to no longer fear rejection, because like, well, I wasn't going to take you seriously anyway. And that's another way that I was thinking. After, like, when I first started dating at the nightclubs and bars and stuff, I was kind of dating with the intention of taking these girls seriously, until I realized just how bad of an idea that was, seeing what kind of girls actually go to bars and nightclubs. So yeah, Dating Guru says, I'm also not really a big fan of nightclubs and dating culture. You know, hated it. Like, literally. It's okay, personally for me, it's, you have to pay for parking, right? Because it's downtown, so there's never free parking. You have to pay for parking. It's crowded. Every venue smells like cigarettes, like that. You know those sweet, I don't even know what they're called, but it's like that cigarette, and it has like that sweet kind of scent to it that all those guys are smoking. I hate that smell. It makes my stomach just feel like I want to puke. And then there's the smell of alcohol. The venues are crowded. There's never any AC, so it just feels uncomfortable. And it just feels nasty. You smell body odor everywhere. Man, the music is not my type of music. Literally, man, I hate nightclubs. This is why I stopped going to bars and clubs. Once I gained the skill set and I got enough results to where I was like, okay, left the nightclub scene, and I went to like just approaching women in, regular environments out while I was out and about. But then I got sick and tired of that, and I went to like, not sick and tired of it, but I wanted something that would, I didn't have to go out to, in person as much. So I gave dating apps a try. And at first, dating apps were very difficult, and like most guys, I got terrible results. But I'm one of those people where it's like, if I see one person getting results and they're actually, man, how to, hey, do this to get more results on dating apps, and I would see their profiles, I'm like, bro, this dude's actually crushing it. Like, he's actually getting girls, and I see all the matches and responses. I'm like, if this guy can do it, I can do it. That's always been my mindset, and that's what pushed me to get good at like cold approach, because I'd see these men in these like pickup artist videos. I'm like, bro, this guy, and he's not even as, they're not muscular, they're not tall, if this guy can do it, I can do it. I never liked the idea that there's something out of reach for me. Like, well, that's just him, and he was born like that, and he has that skill set, or he's just confident, and I can never achieve what he did. I hate that. It makes me angry to even think those thoughts. So it always pushed me, like, if he can do it, I can do it. And so I went on dating apps getting crappy results. But I saw these other guys doing it, and they were crushing it. It's like, okay, I'm going to do it. So, man, the amount of trial and error, and I'll have to make a whole separate video from my dating experience on dating apps and how I went from the average guy experience to getting, like, little to no matches, cave trolls in your matches, and just horrible, countless matches, and the girls are messaging me first. I'll have to do a video where I teach that. Or I'll probably do a video where I break that down. But after I got good at like dating apps, bro, like I never went back to like really, I never went back to nightclubs. I still would cold approach if I saw a really girl that just really, matched what I was looking for in terms of looks. But for the most part, bro, I just stuck to dating apps because I was crushing it. And it just removed all the BS, because it's like, I match with the girl, I know she's interested, I don't have to raise her interest. I have really good, if you have good verbal game, you can have good text game. You have to tweak it a little bit, but there's really good guys out there who can teach you how to have good text game. And bro, after that, barrel. Like, I went from like like really bad, like just most guys, no matches, or you'll see like 5 matches, but they're behind a paywall, or maybe you'll match with one, but like no response. That's typical dating app guy experience, right? Going from that to girls are messaging you first, They're calling you handsome. They're like, bro, I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but then again, it actually doesn't sound crazy, like concerning how much effort I put into actually getting that result. But that was because I didn't. It was just like trial and error, and I had to like figure out what worked and what didn't work because there was a lot of misinformation on the internet about what works. I now know what works, but bro, like I can't really. I would not want to go back to exclusively cold approaching. I think I'm glad I have the skill set under my belt, but I would not want to go back to exclusively cold approach. Dating's so convenient because the girl's already interested in you. She already finds you attractive. All you got to do is just have some interesting conversation, which I could definitely teach you guys how to do, and then ask her out on a date. Boom. It's, bro, shooting fish in a barrel. Like, that was, dating became so fun after I mastered dating apps. And, like, that is honestly when I had, like, good at dating apps. But now I'm in a serious relationship, and it is quite enjoyable. We got another one from Dating Guru. Also, key tip for doing live sessions: keep the answers short and keep the intent clear. Please don't take it as offense. No, bro, I appreciate that. I appreciate your feedback. Like, I'm getting into live streams and I'm trying to get good at this. So yeah, no, I'll definitely try to be less, be more concise, less long-winded. For sure. So I appreciate the feedback, guys. Like, as much feedback as you could possibly give. I'm not one of those people who get offended at all. That's how I got good at things, is that I'm willing to learn from the ground up. Bro, when I was learning game, from a guy who's honestly, like, younger than me at one point. Every chance I get. So what do you say when you approach like this? Okay, but what if you give, like, I was asking him everything, bro. I'm one of those people, give me all the feedback, because that's how I get better. That's how I got to the point where I'm at now, because I just detach my ego from things, and I just view it as mastering a skill set. And if you guys are going to give me tips and tools to better my live streams and better my communication so I can master the skill set even faster, hey, do it, man. Let me know in the comments section if I can improve on, the content, on the advice, on the specificity of what I'm saying. Yeah, let me know. I am all for the feedback. But yeah, wow, I just was not expecting it to go this route with the live stream. But I think I'm going to end this one here. I'm going to have to title this live stream completely different because I was not expecting it to go this route. But I'm glad, sometimes you got to pivot. But I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. The next live stream is going to be something a little different, a little more interesting. The topic that I have, but I'm not going to spoil it just yet because I have two options that I'm going to choose from that I had already in mind. But let me know how this live stream was. Let me know what I can improve on. Also, let me know if the video quality and audio quality is good on your guys' end. Want to make sure everything's smooth. If it's not, make sure it's not choppy or anything like that. Also, let me know what you guys think. I am going to be, when the live stream gets more popular, I'm going to start allowing individuals to, like, call in and, like, actually, like, have a conversation. So not just in the chat. If you guys want to just stay in the chat, that's totally fine as well. But if you'd prefer, you can also, I'm going to give the option for you guys to actually call in and have, like, a on-phone conversation. I don't know what platform I'm going to use yet. I'm thinking Instagram as a means for you guys to, like, call in and have a conversation. That way, when I'm, like, reacting to the videos that I'm doing, you guys can, like, call in and, like, give your take or give your perspective, and we can, like, have a back and forth. You guys can ask questions. So let me know what you think about that idea. I'm pretty sure I'm going to implement it, but let me know if you guys want to see that, or if you guys have ideas of what I could do for the channel to give you guys more engagement. So yeah, let me know about that moving forward, but I appreciate, yeah, let me know. I'm gonna look into StreamYard. I'll look into StreamYard and see how that will work. But Dating Guru, bro, I really appreciate you hopping on the live. That is definitely well appreciated. I appreciate the conversation and the back and forth. So yeah, easy.